Welcome, everybody. We've got esports fans, we've got Rocket League fans, and we've got great action underway today for your CECC Midwest Regional Finals. My name is Pyro J. I'm here with Danger Taco. And Taco, it's been a slugfest for the finals. It feels like Midwest just is collegiate Rocket League with the caliber of teams and players that we've had. And we've got a great final two teams remaining.
Yeah, this is the kind of funny part about a lot of teams in the current ecosystem of collegiate Rocket League, because there's been a lot of debates, especially on the grander scale of like, how do you separate all these conferences? Do you just do East-West? And a lot of people were saying, we should do regionals. And everyone was like, well, what do you do about the Midwest? Because you have teams like we do find in the bracket. We have Ball State, we have Davenport, we have Northwood, we have Maryville, we have Shawnee State and Illinois State. All these ridiculous top 20 type of teams, all just crammed into one region. And of course, that means this bracket has been ridiculous. And now we do have our two finalists in Maryville and Illinois State, which is wild to think about, considering Maryville came into this season looking pretty hot, but Illinois State a little bit more of a struggle. And yet they're the ones that are just slapping people around. They had a 4-0 over Ball State just to begin this bracket.
And I guess the start of such a great bracket is how you try to finish strong, right? A sweep over Ball State and then a win over Davenport. Taco, I've been covering Davenport the entire CRL season so far, and they've slapped ISU on their way to top eights of CRL. Well, not today. This is a different breed of ISU, and I just cannot wait to see what they have up against Maryville today.
Particularly because Maryville, getting to this point, you might have been said, well, you mentioned Northwood in this. Isn't Northwood, like the team? Well, Maryville has, weirdly enough, had their number throughout many different competitions. They were 4-1 victors over them in the semifinal just before this one. So Northwood is going to have to wait for everyone else, like kind of just sitting in the bleachers, cheering on whatever team they want to win, because it doesn't really matter for them. They'll have to wait until subsequent events to be able to actually get into all of these different future events like CCC, because this is for a qual spot. This is Maryville and Illinois State ready to get into it for that spot. Otherwise, going to have to really eke it out later on.
A highly coveted position of that top 4 CECC, as Taco just mentioned, is at stake for this best of 7 of Rocket League. And boy, is it going to be a slugfest. Maryville, to me, Taco, is a team that gets started off very quickly, very hot. So it's a little bit on ISU to keep them tempered, keep those flames tempered as we begin.
Yeah, and Maryville actually has been on a crazy hot streak. The very first CRL Open of the entire year was won by them. But then after that, they actually have not been able to find the same amount of chemistry. And I think that doesn't necessarily speak to their weakness, but really just the fact that I think everybody in the entirety of top-level CRL has been able to step up and play to their maximum potential at different points. You even had, I believe, out of the 3 CRL Opens, we've had 3 different winners. And honestly, when you look across league play, everybody's trading result. There is no definitive, this is the best team.
It's just so clustered at the highest level. It forces teams to be nearly perfect to get that win. And with such a title as a CRL Open champion of Maryville, they are certainly one of the teams that you look to strike that first CECC spot here in the Midwest. And they're on pace to do it now.
Yeah, it's a tough one from No Mansion. He gets the first 50, but then as he realizes halfway through, he's trying to drift to get the 50, and then Cosmic is backing them up, but the pinch beats one and therefore beats both of them, and it's an issue there with almost trusting your teammates too much. It's a common thing that you do see when everyone's cheating up. Someone calls out, I got a 50, and then suddenly the other team just able to subvert expectations, just tap it right to the side of them, and everything goes out the window. So an unfortunate goal to give up for number 1, but it did come at the tail end of a lot of Maryville pressure. Speaking of pressure, Cosmic delivering a lot, just exploding bodies in front of him, and naturally it's going to result in CG top shelfing it.
And is that not masterful here from No Mansion? He notices the onus is on the defense to charge in, so he slows down the play and offers CG a wonderful meal on a shining silver plate taco. Great equalizer at ISU.
And that's exactly what you like to see in the beginning of a game where you're saying, well, on paper, should Maryville win this? Well, on paper, we should have seen a lot of different results in this bracket. And yet, ISU, I think, really showing that they have a lot of potential. And I think now at the end of their first semester as this new squad with Cosmic in the link, trying to live up to that, try to finish all their opportunities, and yet No Mansion maybe overthinking how much speed he had to get on this one, not able to make the contact in the open net. So instead, they'll build from midfield.
And so they will indeed. Cosmic fly straight into Night. No Mansion with the boost pickup. And once again, leaving the ball for CG. This duo shaping up to be rather lethal against Maryville. No mention abandoning the ball for the bump, but evading it ever so cleverly is Maryville. Those players, they all got their head on a swivel to look out for those bumps, those demos, and those shot opportunities.
Off ceiling, Wave has it, but so does Knight. He calls off his teammate, and for good reason. Wave might have looked a little bit more impressive on the build-up, but that finish is sublime.
And CG and Cosmic, you're just so clustered there in the corner, leaving No Mansion alone for such a great chance at a shot there. It's good looks for the team, but maybe not so much on a little bit of clustering, as I mentioned there, from the corner. So we'll get things back underway here, halfway point, and Maryville still cooking. Oh no, Taco, this one hurts.
It does. And oftentimes it will hurt like this because you see everybody involved and you think, okay, well, you have this read, but are you really going to get it on? And then you realize, oh, wait, Related Wave, he played pro play for a while at EU. He can definitely hit that, and then you jump too late. It's a brutal thing to be able to witness, and even at the top level, you have some reason where you're saying, some angle is just too hard to hit, but that is not the case, especially with Maryville. It could get even worse because Wave nearly pre-jumping that one. Fortunately for the side of ISU, that bounce is not going to be favorable.
And the problem is, it's, of course, those tough shots are not that tough for Maryville. When you speak on all players, right? Of course, Relating Wave can do that, but so can Knight, and especially can Speed. In fact, often I see Speed making the craziest moves for this team. So, yeah, for ISU, they've got to give the greatest levels of respect to every player.
No Mansion trying to cut in front and will not be able to get anything as the fake underneath from one. It's going to only go so far, meets the ISU wall of Cosmic and CG trying to combine. And right now, ISU just trying to find a creative way, let's say, of getting out of their half. And my goodness, is it a task right now? Maryville just looping around, stealing all the boosts they can, which makes that task even harder because right now, even with the clear from CG, no boost to be able to follow it up.
And I don't know if he missed that boost or left it for a teammate, but again, you speak about the resource management, and it just doesn't look optimal right now for ISU. Big decisions need to be made when they're caught in their half, but at this point, they're still making this possession work. Nice pop-up here to CG, who's going to follow this with a flip reset air dribble, going for the bump on Speed, but Speed lays very safely on the back wall, says, you can try to bump or demo me, but I think I'll stay right here.
Speed also being able to stick really close to No Match. You can see him put on the brakes in his mind as well, just saying, okay, well, if I go any further, that's probably an own goal, but that's fine. He's able to survive and then potentially set up something crazy on the bounce perfectly into Cosmic, and it all works out on the improvisation.
Feels like this one came a little bit out of nowhere. Wave thinks he has the read, but he's actually putting it straight into a dunking passer to allow Cosmic to finish the job. ISU, they may be caught in their back half pretty often, but they make that counterattack work very wonderfully.
However, Related Wave, he's not going to take that sitting down. Well, maybe literally in the gaming chair, but I mean figuratively, Pyro. You don't want to be able to watch a goal like that and say, well, that's going to cut your lead, and say, Mel, sure, you only last 30 seconds, but that is a very long time. And the already truncated time limits of Rocket League at the highest level, especially now that you have potentially a breakaway if they're not careful. CG's trying to get the pinch. He certainly does get it, but not into the ceiling. It's all the way to the far side for CG to fetch again. Off corner, Cosmic. He's got all the boosts. He's got all the angle. High catch and Relating Wave calls his bluff.
They've worked it from their own end before. They've got to do it again here and now. And they've got to do it against an air dribbling Wave who's just threatening the shot ever so slowly. He's already brought it down from 10 to 0 on the clock. And now it's about keeping it out of the hands of ISU. ISU, you have no boost as well. It's nearly impossible to make this work. And so the ball is killed. Maryville start with game one.
It's a solid beginning from them, despite that one goal differential coming in at the end. But the shots definitely in their favor, finishing up with double digits and tripling the side of ISU, but not to say, or nearly tripling, as I say, 3 is not 2, to make it a 4. But either way, definitely a struggle at times. And yeah, I have to go back to the fact that the boost management is not ideal, but you can also see psychologically what that does to you, because we did have a play earlier, CG went up, they had no boost, they sent it by, but they had to forego their own corner boost just because they knew if they went for that, they'd probably get beat to the ball, and therefore it just goes right back in. So at a certain point, they're like, we're just going to have to take the temporary clear at a certain point, and then we'll just figure things out later. And I think if they can adjust a little bit cleaner in game 2, maybe we'll see it maybe sway a little bit more toward their favor.
Yeah, we saw the small little adjustments that maybe ISU needed to make. You mentioned on goal number 1, there was a little too much trust, and maybe not everything was communicated. Then we're on the resource management, and we definitely saw why ISU are here and got a sweep over Ball State. They're so perseverant on defense, and to turn it around, to score, to bring it within 1 in the final minute is fantastic. But it also feels like Maryville don't have a lot to adjust on. They kind of have figured out how to take over different teams, including a 4-1 over Northwood. So the momentum's on their side here as we get into game number 2 of this best of 7 for the Midwest Regional Finals.
And again, this is so much weighing on these two teams, and honestly, a bunch of these teams that coming into this one, they have to think that they can win this one. Maryville is kind of the expected champion, I would say, the overall favorite, both in terms of seeding, because ISU, I mean, they're making a run. If you want to believe the seeding and the way that all those group stages went into this bracket, they came in as the 6th seed out of 8 teams, and yet they're just 1 goal away in game number 1, so you have to think they believe in themselves to be able to strike on back, but of course, we know a lot about momentum as well, so it's just as easily that Maryville could be able to double things up and get themselves halfway to a sweep.
And that momentum not just coming from game 1, but as we mentioned, that win over Northwood. I mean, that was like a rivalry as well, because in Maryville's win in CRL, they had to suffer against the bracket reset and then defeat Northwood, which was quite the tussle. So getting a win over them, I think, definitely fuels them to be positive in this matchup, as game 1 still underway, and some hot shots have had to be denied already.
Yeah, Cosmic doing well to just be able to chase the ball around. A couple of his touches, using that ones training in a way of just being able to be right in front of the ball. But the problem is the first attack, more or less, from Maryville is going to go in after all that ISU effort.
Wave at his radar scanner on speed here, apparently, with the dunk, because that pass gets right to him. It's all in that 50-50 game sometimes. And if you can coordinate to a teammate for that lock-on shot, they'll succeed. Up 1-0 now, Maryville.
And after all that, you really see ISU taking laps, taking 50s, getting open shots, and cause for last-second saves. And you're thinking, okay, well, that's all going well, but the thing is sometimes you do have a lot of pressure, but then it immediately unfolds into just a disaster in the backfield. Speaking of, No Mansion trying to make up for his game 1 miss on an open net, and this time will make no mistake about it, as all of Maryville pressing up and just nobody minding the shop.
I mean, it's counterattacks once again, and like you said, that third not back in time. How many times do Maryville have to get punished here before they start being a bit more mindful about having someone back?
Cosmic going to pinch that one, or at least I thought he might have been able to. Instead, CG sending it down for Speed and Knight to deal with, and that is not the player you want on the ball. Arguably one of the best players in all the Western Conference in previous semesters. Certainly putting up an MVP performance within the summer series for Maryville, and that was really before he was able to add in some new weapons, some new toys to be able to play with here in Speed and Relating Wave. Definitely one of the more surprising transfers is the kind of a new wave of EU kids coming over to see what the NA University scene is all about.
Yeah, it's all about representation globally, apparently, because they're the ones at the top of the list a lot of the time. Remember watching that 1-0 finals, and it was almost all EU players. So here they are, striking again, this time in the Midwest, trying to be the best. Maybe with a good chance here from Wave, they will continue to be. Off the demo, he finds a ripper to the net.
Really do like this one. Light tap, knows as soon as CG jumps off the wall, his goose is cooked. And so you just need to be able to put that one directly to the back post, just a little bit outside the reach of the bumper. And can't really blame ISU on that one. It's just one of those spacing where you're just too far away. It's like the perfect encapsulation of the no man's land type of dynamic, where if you go for it, yeah, you're going to be late to it. But if you don't go, then would you really give him a completely open shot? It's kind of a hard gambit to play off of. But at the very least, they can rely on the fact that that is only for a 1-goal lead. And have half the game to go, and with the speed, I don't really count on them being too difficult to be able to get some more shots on, as they are continuing to try to rain down pressure and, of course, some punishes, but they can get punished right on back.
Well, who's gonna win the demolition derby? Who comes out as the last man standing in this Mad Max battle? It is Maryville this time now for a 2-goal lead, and as you mentioned, yeah, for ISU, you don't have to worry too much. It's only 1 goal. It's only this goal. But it seems, Taco, that they're always having to work from behind, and that can be stressful over time.
especially if these bar downs don't go in, and it does not. Cosmic was trying to flutter across and get that one as CG and No Mansion actually take the ball away from each other, but maybe it's for the best. No Mansion, after all, does have a flip. He does as Cosmic. It's a demo play to roll on through. It's almost like Cosmic just meeting the eyes of his opponents like, if you can do that, so can I.
That's right. That's right. Everything's been allowed for now. Anything goes, and it's kind of like getting air dribble bumped in a 1v1. It's like, oh really, you want to go there? Fine, let the sparks fly.
And right now we have seen some sparks fly. We also might see some fireworks if CG is not locked down. He's not able to make an angle happen, but certainly a capable player, pulling off a lot of acrobatics. Same with this save as well. He's going to be able to subvert expectations again by getting past, but fortunately Speed played his timing well. Maryville, I definitely looking susceptible to the counter. It's kind of the double-edged sword of playing such an aggressive rotation on offense, is eventually, if one person dives in and doesn't get it, then everything might just go out the window.
I still kind of respect it though, right? It speaks to the confidence of Maryville when they are behind the ball, yet confidence comes with consistent touches, and that's not always coming through as well. So the susceptibility we're starting to see take shape with the pass to No Mansion. Absolute bullet in.
Yeah, and this is a little rough. Maryville kind of ties their hands behind their backs because all of them are on that backboard, and then you see Cosmic with 0 boost line up, and you knew exactly where he was going with it, but No Mansion still has to beat 2 defenders, and he's a decent distance away from the goal. Fortunately, No Mansion is him able to slap that one into the side netting more or less. Gets that equalizer, and ISU definitely not taking their lumps in game 1, but not really letting it get to them. They're playing phenomenally right now.
That's why shot quality really matters. Even if the shot is expected, if it's drilled to a position where no one can get to it, at least can't hit it outside of the net, because we did get a touch on it. And it's good enough. Well, we need better than good enough here for ICU if they want to tie up this series, because Wave wants to be the better player. Unfortunately for him, that soft target. ICU get one more save, but how many more do they need? Cosmic trying to track this ball, just doesn't get under it. CG on the backflip of the goal line. Surely it's a goal unless No Mansion intercepts.
It's really well timed by No Mansion. It almost looked like a cornerback waiting to use that kind of closing speed, just saying, all right, well, I'm not going to get there immediately. I'm just going to wait for the lob, and then I'm going to dive in. Blind spot read and able to get that one away. Can't say the same about the next one. They are, again, in the vortex of the Saints right now, as this one is going to go all the way back to Speed with spacing, as CG's trying to contend with him on a 50. And not only that, but he gets all of that one down. Even more so, that relating Wave has to deal with the idea of No Mansion right behind him. He's up for this last-second touch, trying to tap into the corner. Not nearly enough to get it back to CG. One more cleared. I'm thinking they're probably going to put that one down into the turf.
Maryville are hungry to get this next goal opportunity here in overtime. A couple of misplaced high shots that hit the crossbar instead. Are they burned for it in the end? Not yet, as Speed saves.
And one thing I definitely have noticed from Cosmic is that he's a highly finessed player. As I mentioned, a lot of 1v1 experience, but that also comes the idea of being physical. And right there, he has to also pull out a save, as that one was an air dribble that nearly beat out the entirety of the defense. Maryville, they've looked, I would necessarily say fragile on defense, but on offense, they are razor sharp, except for the fact that they're really cutting layers off of the bar right there. I think that's the third one in just this game alone.
The third one in the last 2 minutes of gameplay as well. The crossbar dented, as you mentioned, layers gone. CG maybe wants to set up a pass off the crossbar. That one, though, collected wisely by Maryville, and that is a dangerous backflip because now you're allowing Wave to cook. Thought he had the reset, but just couldn't track the ball. This one out tonight. He's got boost for another touch. There it is, over 1, bump 2, but the shot never comes in as a follow.
Wave making sure he takes his time. Problem is, Cosmic was just trailing in a straight line the whole time. Cosmic also whip across the back line. No boost to be able to go for the goalie, so instead here comes Maryville with Speed and Knight. Pass too low. Now some more openings as No Mansion was waiting in the middle. CG, I think, overthought that one, not really able to get around it. And you can see maybe the nerves starting to get to these teams. It really does feel like a game where just one singular mistake is going to end it all.
It really does. It's kept things on a nice edge, which is just how we like it here in the finals. Maryville hunting once again for that goal opportunity. No Mansion, the savior. in that sense, and almost gets a bump on no boost. He can't find the mid either, so things are getting a little shaky now for ISU as they're searching for the boost, yet finding nothing. The treasure as they dig for it, unfound. Cosmic, miss touch wave allows it to bounce in the corner. Speed is going to get the better of the 50-50, but no man just saw that coming. Cosmic well positioned, but it flies into the opposite corner.
Yeah, it's a tough one as that clear was coming in. You can tell Cosmic wanted to do something else with this, but you can realize halfway through, I don't really have that touch, and I don't have this one either. Knight on the near post. CG's got to get there. Speed living up to his name. Getting to the ball first, but CG able to play that angle well as we're another half game into overtime, and No Mansion and company just trying to make sure they maintain their 50s, which I think is a solid strategy along with the communication as CG will take the handoff, hopefully getting a 50 into Cosmic's path. He's going to get beat to the corner, and everyone has to turn around and hope not to be dealt with on the counterattack yet again.
And Wave may have had that read just possibly because of waterfall down, even though he didn't have boost. Look at Knight on the powerful turnaround there from his own backboard. Speed just awkward positioning to get this towards the net. It's going to allow Cosmic to take his time with it. He follows for the bump. Knight evades. He's able to get the 50. Now Speed, you have to be very conscientious about this touch. He is very careful to keep that near his backboard so as to not allow an incoming shot. Even it's now an OT and No Mansion gives that up, but CG's got the follow through. Knight downfield and Cosmic collects.
Cosmic's also trying to avoid Knight as much as possible as he's swinging through, just trying to get a bump on him, and it's not going to work out. So No Mansion trying to use the last of his boost to its best effectiveness. There's another repeat of potentially Cosmic leading the way. Well done by Wave, being able to keep an eye on the ball, but also in the periphery. Not getting demoed. Speed, got to be careful of the top. Cosmic quickly up, bounce down, open shot for No Mansion. That's ISU taking game 2.
The idea was just right for Speed here. Nail it off your backboard, land on it, and then be there for the save. The problem was the bouncer was too hard to read. It goes right off the backboard for No Mansion to complete game 2 on top.
Love the look coming in from ISU at the end of that one. And I like also how they take it one step at a time. Always get so frustrated with every team trying to do things as fast as possible. Okay, one lob, just try to nail as fast as you can. Cosmic goes up for that. It almost looked like he was looking for a 50. And when he realizes he doesn't have it, he just spikes it on the ground, which throws everyone off. It's a little bit of a change up. And then even better, No Mansion is up as soon as it bounces to beat out Maryville, who is just a little bit bamboozled. And I think, honestly, they were pretty confused also on how to stop No Mansion. 5 shots, 4 goals, all of the offensive effort put together by him, and of course Cosmic on the receiving end, or at least giving him the receptions on 3 of those assists as well.
Yeah, it just goes to show, especially the 4 for 5 on the shots and goals. It was 5 shots of the team's 6 shots on target. I mean, that is just ludicrous when you think about it. No Mansion putting the team on his back there. But for Maryville, like, we saw the flip resets. They got to hit a memory reset after that game, Taco. How many times did they hit the crossbar? How many times did they have open looks to finish that game? And yet they couldn't. It's time to get a clean slate for game 3.
Those are the types of games that in some series people are saying, oh man, you're really going to have a team talk. And honestly, I feel like those are ones that don't necessarily fill you with confidence, but it's not going to harm you either, because you're thinking in yourself, at least I am, hey, if those didn't hit the crossbar, we're looking at a completely different game, because we had a lot of really solid opportunities. Now we just got to make sure we just rebuild and honestly not even change that much. Keep it going and obviously mine the counterattacks. Like obviously ISU, if they have a singular chance to send 2 players to go for a demo, I think they're doing it every single time.
I will say, though, players like Speed have been much better at being mindful of the counterattack there in game 2. He did have to make some diving saves. If he didn't have a little more boost in the tank, it would have gone over him. But there has been that adjustment, at least partially made, especially in overtime when you're being very much mindful of it. So, Maryville, they're on that journey. And you know what, Taco? It's a best of 7, so we might as well make it a nice long journey, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's why we're here. We're really only one thing on the broadcast here, just to see this conclusion, see who gets that qual spot in both these teams. Maybe not exactly the 2 teams you expected to see at the end of this one, but it is the Midwest qualifier. A lot of concentration of power, and not a lot of power required on this one from Wave. Just solid positioning, Speed, putting this one with a crazy pinch.
Sure. Yeah, Speed, the master of the skies, truly. And Wave just so happy to be able to pick that up. And confidence booster, honestly, for Maryville. Doesn't really sound like the kind of team that you think needs a confidence boost, but it's a shot in the net that's going to do well for them. It's a smart interception there by Knight because it looked a bit dreadful for their last there, getting harassed in the net. And Maryville might just have the momentum here. No Mansion hassled on his goal line, but he's able to contain.
Look at that one, just having enough strength of mind to be able to get that bump and then also understand where his car is in 3D space. Which sounds like a kind of just empty compliment, but it's hard sometimes. You just flail him around, you don't know which way to flip, and he gets that backflip just in time. Now he needs to be able to get off the ground and get that save. He will, along with a Musty, the temporary clear. Clearly, it's flowing for ISU despite the fact that it might be 2, and after that last second touch.
You gotta keep them on your toes, Taco. You gotta throw the Musty out every now and then, right? And Knight gets that air dribble there. Cosmic, he'll have time on the ball, but it gets flung out. Top of the sidewall, and wow, Speed given a little extra time on that play. Knight, all the way to the sidewall. No Mansion contends with it. Scary in the corner here. As Cosmic maybe looking for some boost to steal, eventually does get it, so maybe the turnaround does take shape here. As No Mansion is given the space, so he will utilize it. Flick up to a pre-jumping Cosmic, up off the bar, and ends up in.
It's one thing to be able to look at this, but I really want everyone to pay attention to the boost totals. Cosmic doesn't even have 75 boost. I don't even know if he had 60 in the beginning of that play, but he just still pre-jumps, understands, all right, well, goalie's back, but they're not in goal. I'm just going to smack this one top shelf and see what happens. Poor Knight going backwards. He can save a lot. He cannot save that one.
And that's where I want a replay with comms. You know, Cosmic saying, I'm up, send it to me. Now they're saying, oh, great, we have to tie up the ball game again.
Yeah, Relating Wave doing really well with this one. Again, low boost play, and you're thinking, okay, it's going to be a light lob. Nope, it's just going to drill it as high as possible. Speed is up for it, and as long as he is first, he can do a lot. Like that shot low and underneath the pre-jumping goalie. Otherwise, might have been an ISU team getting away with it once again, but Maryville might find a way to get away with this one. Cosmic uncontested, at least initially, but Relating Wave just a straight line challenge, and able to keep it a 1-goal deficit for their lead for right now. Away from an angle again. He went from the left post one time, the right time for a second, and now a 2-goal lead.
And kudos to Wave for always following up these chances provided by Speed and Knight, but give the accolades to Knight on that play. He wall dashed all the way across the field and still managed an extra touch on the dunk from the save of ISU. They're just putting in that extra work to get that one last touch that proceeds into the goal. Really impressive the way that goals are developed on this Maryville side.
Especially now with the, I would say, the return to form of what Maryville might have expected. A lot of close games. Even the last one with a last-second goal was within 1 goal, and so now they're just saying, all right, well, let's try it out to see what it's like when we don't have to really just fight tooth and nail to be able to keep our lead. If we have a little bit of a cushion in the back half of the game, that's one thing, but there's nothing comfortable about how this midfield looks. Illinois State doing a lot of crosses left and right across the field. Difficult to know exactly where they're going, and these light little touches just confusing the rotation or putting them into a decent opportunity to be able to march on forward, especially with a wave dash into the flick. No Mansion completely destroyed that near post giant.
I guess we all missed when he scored the 4 goals of his team last time. This time he drops a doozy onto Maryville. When you got that kid on the pitch, ISU are never out of it.
That one just put my brain in the blender. I don't even know how he got that power. It was a wave dash, but I think he wave dashed and then almost like the setup into what looked like a zap dash, but instead of it, it was just a full front flip into it. He got all of the ball, and you'd see the near post defender saying, all right, what's he going to do with this one? Well, he showed you, and that is why you need to respect the skill on display here, especially now that he might get another open shot from an angle. High flick, CG is there. Comeback is complete.
You're not defined by your failures in Rocket League. The goals you concede, it's about how you bounce back. And the way that ISU have bounced back against Maryville throughout this series have been nothing short of outstanding. They've tied it up once again. It's time to clutch up in the final minutes.
Easier said than done, Pyro, as we both know, especially when it's open passes to Speed, near post. When we were saying, Maryville, you got to be careful about your finishing, that is not a problem this game.
No, and especially after kickoffs as well. This is the second one of this game now. Their efficiency and their proficient communication to connect like that off kickoff is short to nobody at this point. And it's got to be so deflating for ISU, because how do you work so hard for that equalizer to again and again give it up on the kickoff?
That's going to be Wave's hat trick, and it's very well taken from CG and him. He's trying to look at that angle. CG's got all the boost. Wave's got nothing. You can see him angle that car down, and not only that, but he doesn't fly off to the side. He tries to stay central just because he knows if he takes that 50, it might as well be an open net. ISU, all that work, and very quickly with 2 back-to-back kickoff goals, they got to mount something crazy in the final 40 seconds.
It already feels like they've mounted something crazy when they scored 2 goals to come back. Can they do it once more? Maybe not with Knight combining with Wave. How do you even read this as the defense?
That was wide from Knight. I need to see this one again. Going from the back post to the near post, and then just leads across against the lightest touch. Cosmic just got completely annihilated on this one, mainly just because I don't blame him for not jumping earlier. That's completely off blind side. He cannot even see that in his 110 FOV.
That's what Relating Wave does. He produces the unexpected, the surely they can't score this, and then they do. 6-3 in the final 20 seconds. Maryville University undoubtedly have taken that commanding shape back in this series, as they are one of the collegiate top contenders, not only here in this Midwest region, but all in the collegiate landscape. Here to prove it again, and now with their 2